All right, Sticky Ricky reporting in, answer some questions. We'll kick things off here with a question from Jesse Whitty. He says, "Oh, Rick, I'm not much of a coffee guy, so I sip on pre-workouts quite a bit. I've had to cut back recently because anything above about 100 milligrams gives me heart palpitations. Good Lord. I used to have about 350 milligrams in my Chaos and Pain pre-workout." Well, listen, brother, if anyone knows about Chaos and Pain pre-workouts, this little Stick de la Thicky, who they sent me stuff all the time back in like 2014. That stuff was pretty goddamn strong, so I can see why you're having heart palpitations. It says, "Do I completely come off or not? By the way, it does not happen during a workout, just random times throughout the day for a couple beats." Ugh. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, listen, I'm not a cardiologist, but to me, that's not a good sign. If it's anything above 100 milligrams, you're saying, well, first and foremost, I think you have to look at your caffeine consumption the same way you look at like your ibuprofen or aspirin consumption or something like that. Like, this stuff can be beneficial, but you don't want to chronically use it. You know what I mean? You want to use it in acute situations, right? And that's what I try to do too. I mean, at times I got my vices. Maybe I'll drink some additional green tea throughout the day for a little health or a little kickstart the mood and the energy. But like I said, that's like green tea or something. Worst case scenario, black coffee. But I would never drink pre-workout throughout the day. And you say you're not much of a coffee guy, so you drink pre-workout throughout the day. I mean, listen, brother, if it were just me, I would try to give that habit up, right? Like, I have nothing against pre-workout. I take pre-workout before I lift a lot of times, right? Because I don't want to put the time into drinking 10 cups of coffee, you know what I mean? Which a lot of times I do that, but there's times I'm on a bind, and it's like, all right, well, I'll just drink some pre-workout because it's bang, and it's done. It's in you. And sometimes certain pre-workouts have additional things in it that get your mind feeling a little extra excited, you know what I mean? Additional stimulants added, if you will. But this would be my advice to you. I would say, like, if you're saying anything above 100 milligrams gives you heart palpitations, well, then coffee would do that too, because like a basic cup of coffee is like 100 to 200 milligrams. So that wouldn't solve the trick. But my advice to you, dude, would be, really start enjoying the fine, subtle flavors of green tea. Because yes, green tea is a little bit of caffeine. And that's what I was saying. Like, sometimes throughout the day, like, listen, I'll drink my pre-workout, I'll drink a pot of coffee before I lift or something. But sometimes I just crash freaking hard. You know what I mean? And it's like, I feel like garbage later in the day. And I just need a pick-me-up. Otherwise, there's been times I've like literally fallen asleep playing with my daughter. Just like, and she'll like wake me up and be like, oh, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's how tired I am sometimes. And in that case, I'll drink green tea, but I can feel good about it because green tea is like one of the freaking healthiest things in the world. You know what I mean? So if you need a pick-me-up, get your pick-me-up from something that's insanely healthy, that basically benefits like everything. Heart health, cancer, inflammation, like all that good stuff, as opposed to artificial pre-workout that's loaded with, sweeteners and crap like that. And then a piece of advice I would give to you is, if you want to wean off of like stronger pre-workouts, maybe if that's the thing, maybe you feel like that's causing heart palpitations too. Like, it's a question from one of the dudes last week asked me about like nootropics. And I didn't really comment too much on it because I've taken a lot of them in the past, but I didn't think too much of them. But I think that's because they're more subtle. They're supposed to be like they're not, I guess they're called like smart drugs in a way. They get your brain to work better. But really, like, alpha GPC is like analogs of like choline. You know what I mean? Like vitamins and things of that sort. You know what I mean? So I'm not pushing it because I'm not like sponsored by Psychopharm or anything, but they send me a lot of stuff. So like when I thought about it after the dude asked the question, I was like, well, let me look into it. So like alpha GPC is one of them. And I looked it up, and actually it's got like a very mild stimulatory effect stimulatory. Good Lord, I must really have my nootropics through the roof right now. My brain is firing on all cylinders. But I looked up like a PubMed thing too. So obviously it helps with like accomplishing tasks quicker or something. But another thing it helped with when it versed caffeine consumption was it actually improved vertical jumping power. Can you believe that? So I'm like, well, damn. I mean, listen, my body is like totally desensitized to caffeine. And I can say that 100% certainty because I've been drinking like coffee and like lots of coffee for a long time now. I've been drinking pre-workout since I was, a teenager. But it was only until I was like 24 where I started drinking like an entire pot of coffee a day. And it doesn't wear off. It's all a myth. You don't like desensitize. But now it's like I can drink an entire pot of coffee and like yawn and fall asleep basically. So yeah, like caffeine's got like no effect on me. But if this alpha GPC has a little stimulating effect, right, and can improve power like caffeine does too, but right, stack the caffeine with the alpha GPC. And then another one, so there's like noopept, I think it was either that one or it's like the citicoline, I believe, something like that. There's this, you can just look them up, like they're all kind of like choline analogs, I believe, and like they improve like neurotransmitters and stuff in your brain, like serotonin and dopamine levels. So then another thing I saw too, like in the study, was it helps with weaning off of addictions. And listen, we're not talking about heroin or cocaine or anything like that. We're talking about caffeine, but caffeine is a serious addiction. Like, I can be the first to admit it, I'm seriously addicted to caffeine. I can't go a day. Like, I used to, like cycle on and off of it. I'll take a week or two off of caffeine. Like, I can't even do that anymore, right? And I know it's a weak mindset, but because I just love it so much. But if some of the nootropics can, help wean off of certain addictions while providing little stimulatory effects and stimulating effects and improving like feel good neurotransmitters, right? Like you feel good and your performance can be improved too. I mean, that's a route to go too. So like my suggestion to you would be like maybe look into alpha GPC and green tea, right? So a little bit of caffeine, a little nootropic, right? Get your mind feeling just right. Something like that. I don't know. It's worth a shot. You can try that out, but that's my 2 cents. You feel me? So I think we're going to make it through this, brothers. By no means give up your caffeine, but I think there's going to be better ways to getting around certain workouts than, 3 scoops of pre-workout or an entire pot of coffee, right? Because when you set the bar so high for energy and intensity every workout, it kind of sucks to come down from that. You know what I mean? But if I find tips and tricks and can throw them your way, or maybe you find tips and tricks and throw them my way, like, well, it's all aboard, baby. You know what I mean? Let's board this journey together and set some massive PRs. Then we got a question here from Adam Bing. Adam says, Rick, you recently bought the Rogue Echo bike. How is it for high intensity interval training and weight loss in your opinion? I'm a Frisbee player and I'm looking to build up that endurance with quick bursts, that ability. So I was thinking of using this to reduce knee stress from regular training and stop getting tired on the field. Well, first of all, dude, the bike is amazing. And I bought it because in college wrestling, like an Aerodyne, a wind bike like that was the go-to conditioning tool. And not just at Wisconsin, but at any place we would go. We go to University of Iowa, we go to Penn State, right? We go to Michigan, like all these like top programs they were using Aerodyne bikes because there's nothing like them. It's like doing a sprint, like a true sprint with zero impact, basically. There's nothing that beats it. So I can't advocate for it enough. There's no other tool that's gonna replicate just how brutal you can make that. And then you're saying you want to limit like your knee stress. Like this bike feels so good on your knees, and it could be the case for all Aerodyne bikes. I'm just speaking for the Rogue bike, but like, dude, I get such a nasty, sick quad pump that it's like I just want to get off the bike and just flex my legs. You know what I mean? Like it's great. There's been times where it's like, man, I don't even know if I need to work my legs. Like, just doing sprints on this bike feels like, you know, and then you put some blood flow restriction bands on or something, like, holy buckets. Because that's what those BFR straps were meant for in the first place. It was like things like walking, you know what I mean? Like building leg muscle back, strengthening with just like walking, doing light exercise like that. So I can't advocate for it enough. And you're talking about, you're trying to get endurance, but like you're looking for quick bursts of speed. Like, what else are you going to do this on? Like, the only other thing I can think of is a rower, but that's, you know, twice as expensive, and it's just not going to be as exhausting. Listen, I pushed myself to the max on a rower too, and it's debilitating. But we're talking about apples and oranges. Like, one's lower body, one's upper body mainly. You know, you get what I'm saying. It's just, you can't beat it, man. And like, how, like, high intensity interval training, like, it's the go-to tool, man. You know what I'm saying? You can do 5-second bursts. You can do 10-second bursts, and then take as much time as you want. You can take a minute off and then do a 10-second burst. You're still gonna be gassed. Like, so good, so good. Yeah, well worth the money. And in terms of weight loss too, like, it's there's studies that I remember seeing stuff specifically about doing bike sprints, like one all-out max effort sprint on a bike, such as that one, where you can actually push yourself to the max, and there's nothing holding you back. And even just doing one of those a day, especially in a fasted state, like, extremely improved your like blood work, basically. You know what I mean? Like your insulin sensitivity and I don't know, all those markers. I just remember that everything improved substantially. It's just about max effort, true max effort. Like they say, sprinting is so good, right? Because it's like a giant boost in growth hormone because of the lactic acid with true max effort. But let's be honest, it's hard to sprint max effort. And I've tried, and you know, when I do stuff, I want to do it consistently. So the first day was like, well, that was pretty fun. That felt good. My knees were a little achy, right? And I kept doing it, tried doing it consistently, and then it's like already I'm like, well, dude, I'm getting like an injury already. Like my hip was starting to get super tight too. I don't know. Maybe it's just that I'm older. Maybe it's just that I'm heavier. But like doing an actual like sprint every single day is not sustainable. But doing bike sprints every single day feels great. No wear and tear on the joints. Can't advocate for it enough. Double thumbs up.